Welcome to Network Today. I'm Cheryl Powers.
I'm Rob Bliss.
And we're excited to host this episode about taking you from meeting people to
making money.
He's the money guy. He's the guy you want to know. And this particular episode, our title is
Distractions.
That's right.
Oh, wow.
Because they're everywhere, right? Squirrel, squirrel, birds chirping. Yeah, they're everywhere. So we encourage you to go to networktodaydfw.com. You're going to see it down below. We want you to go there. We want you to sign up on the email list. I forget to tell people that.
That's a great idea. Go to info@networktodaydfw.com. You'll find it on the screen below. But yes, get on our mailing list.
Yes, that's right. Because by being a part of what we're calling Network Today Nation, by being part of one of our nation's persons, you get access to all sorts of super cool things. So.
Yeah. The resources are really building up, Cheryl. A lot of exciting stuff, guys.
Rolling. So speaking of that, on distractions, this is a topic when we were talking about it pre-show. I was like, man, we could do this for 2 hours on distractions because life today is one giant distraction.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think to me, I think I've probably got a little bit of ADD in me. And so it's, you just have to blink at me. And I get distracted.
Just a wee little.
Yeah, just a little bit. But, this is an important subject, too, because, again, it helps me focus, which, hey, that's coming up soon. But, it helps me concentrate. It helps me prepare. And I think that's probably, when I walk into the networking event, if you were to ask me, like, what's your number one distraction? It's me, because I don't think I'm concentrating on the moment and I'm just letting everything in. How about you?
Wow. It's a big question because I had to think about it. I'm physically going to walk myself into an event that I've been at recently and think about what actually the dynamics of the room. And if I'm going through it in my mind's eye, I think probably the big distraction for me is the overwhelmingness of a large event, especially if I don't know the people there, right? Because then you don't really know where to go. And it's like, well, there are people over here and people over there. And so I'm not focused on finding a good connection or, making some relationships, or at least starting with the discussion, a couple of words. So I feel overwhelmed.
I think that's a really good point. And what that leads me to for me to understand is, you've got to be prepared. You've got to be ready before you walk into the room. It's kind of like, being behind the curtain and, saying a little prayer, and then say, boom. But, I think it's that preparation, whether if we're just winging it, yes, we get, we get that impact of distractions all around us. But so that's by studying this, that's what I'm going to be doing the next event is I'm going to prepare myself outside before I get into the room.
Right. Part of that eliminating the distractions is to go in reminding yourself of your focus goal, right? We're going to talk about focus later, like in another episode, but there should be a goal, an express purpose of going to each networking meeting, like one that you set for yourself. And if that's meeting just one new person, I always say, hey, for me, I want to meet 2 people. But if I become overwhelmed with all the stuff going on, then I find that I'm mingling and I'm not really networking. Mingling and networking are not the same thing.
Exactly. But, it's so hard not to do that because you see all your friends there. And then you want to say hi to Bob because you haven't seen him in a couple of weeks. You want to say hi to Nancy. And then there you get distracted. Boom, you're off track right now. So, we've got to figure that out, Cheryl.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think we are figuring it out, especially as we get these little pearls from our guests. Mm-hmm. I mean, they're really providing great things for me that I'm like, oh my gosh, I never even thought about that. But truthfully, there is a system, right? You have to create your own or work with somebody else's, but the system is making sure that you understand what those goals are. And that you try to meet those goals at each networking event. And that if there are, so I was thinking about when you're asking about distractions, a networking group that I don't know too many people in. Now, if I want to go to a networking group and think about distractions of people that I do know a lot of people in there, that's a distraction in itself because you find yourself having friend conversations, not networking. Let's create an ROI for this event conversations.
Hey, I've got a little tip for you.
Okay, what?
Because I have that same problem, what you just described there.
Uh-huh.
So what I'm saying now is I'm only spending like 3 to 4 minutes per person, per friend. Then I say, hey guys, it's that time. We got a shift. You go meet somebody new. I'll go meet somebody new. And so that way, and I've prepared that ahead of time so I don't get caught up in that 30-minute conversation with a person I already know.
That's good. That's good. And I know we've talked about Ron Kennedy before, but you can't help but when you're talking about working a room, bring his name up into it. In that I kind of do the Ron Kennedy thing, which is similar to yours. But I say, hey, friend, who don't you know here?
Great line. Oh, great.
That I can introduce you to, because I might not know him either, right? They might say, hey, that person across the way, I don't know them. And I say, well, let's go meet them, right? So then we can go together and go introduce ourselves.
Oh, I like
and
that.
Then I start working my way back out, right?
All right, Ron Kennedy. We are now officially calling it the Ron Kennedy tip.
Ron Kennedy, Ron Kennedy. He's like grabbing people and hurling them around.
He's awesome. I love it when he does that. He is so good.
I know, he's amazing. So as we go through each one of these episodes, we also like to talk about success stories because, face it, I mean, networking can be discouraging sometimes. So know that you're not alone, that we get discouraged too, which is why we like to focus on the positive. So you know that there is gold at the end of that rainbow, okay? And that's the Grand Slams, which is coming up next.
Are you a creative or entrepreneur with a business idea that needs just a little bit of help? Purple Cow Branding is the best digital marketing agency for your small business. Whether it be your website, social media, branding, or even video production, we're here to help your business be outstanding. Go to purplecowbranding.com to find out how we can help you. Purple Cow Branding, much more than digital marketing.
Welcome back. It's Network Today, and this is Grand Slam time. We love it. I mean, it's baseball season.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm kind of thinking, I'm just hearing the crack of the bat. Oh, that's a beautiful bam. Yeah, that's right.
Love that sound. Love that sound.
And you, during break, said that you've got an amazing Grand Slam.
Cheryl, yeah, this is, like you said earlier, this is the fun part of the episode. But, I got a call yesterday from a client of mine, and he goes, hey, Rob, this is Jeff. I just wanted to thank you for having one of your referral partners call me yesterday, or last week, actually, and I am putting together an incredible proposal, like one of the biggest of the year. So I'm just calling to thank you so much. And to me, that was just so exciting. Jeff's been a good client of mine for over a year now. He's also one of my referral partners. But it's such, I just get so pumped up when you hear that how you can help someone's business. And then he took the time to call me and thank me. I mean, that's what networking is all about.
It is. That is a home run. Because that's the end result that we're all working toward, right? So if this is new to you, this whole networking thing, or it's daunting, or you're like, man, I'm just beat down, know that these are the things that you're looking for.
And, I forgot one of the most important parts here too, Cheryl, is my referral partner who called Jeff up was someone I met at Mid-Market Professionals.
Yes.
So, and so that's what's exciting about going to these networking groups that, we'll talk about a little bit later. But yeah, that's the whole key is, if it's someone I just met, right away, I got a one-on-one with them.
Yeah.
I also brought her name's Brooke. I brought her in on a deal with one of my clients. Then she asked me the question, I need somebody. And then boom, I gave Jeff's name out and it just came full circle.
Oh man.
So, it was just that, that was a grand slam.
Yeah.
It was really cool.
Those are, people ask me sometimes, what's a synergy partner? That's a synergy partnership, right?
Yeah.
And that you continue to fuel that line of referrals.
Yeah.
But it's by asking good questions, listening, doing the follow-up, and that's awesome. Love. Yep, that's a good one.
Well, I can't wait to hear yours.
So mine was last night, right? So I had Mid-Market Professionals, which you hear us talk a lot about, and I manage the Dallas branch along with my two partners, Dan Nye and Ron Kennedy. And it's a lot. It can feel pretty daunting sometimes. I mean, you're really excited at the beginning, and then, years down the road, you're like, oh, I got to come up with another theme, right? So I was working through this. I'd been up since 3:30 that morning. I was really beat. And I'd promised another restaurant that's in that same parking lot that, hey, yeah, let's go have a little party afterward. Well, as it turns out, it was a hugely attended event, right? We had a lot of people. You were there. It was a full house, a lot of new people. And then afterward, it's a, hey, by the way, let's go over across the way to TK's Comedy Club. They're new. We're all about supporting local, small, new businesses, right? So that was just a really great opportunity to do that. We get over there and several people pull me aside and say, Cheryl, these are the best networking events that I've ever been to because I get to know people on a different level, right? We kind of take it to a new level. But this is the kicker. This is when you feel like, wow, this is amazing. There was a gal named Lizette. So if you're listening, Lizette was an amazing name. I get to talking to her at TK's, and she flew in from Atlanta the night before, had looked us up, found me on Eventbrite the week before, had RSVP'd for the event, and made sure that she made it while she's here in Dallas.
Oh my gosh.
Right? I know.
Wow.
Because she wanted to get to know leaders in a market. Well, I'm like, I'm not a leader, but I know a lot of them. And she was like, it was so thrilling because that's the honor and the humbling component of being a part of something that's really bigger than yourself. So that's where I really felt like it was that was a big group networking grand slam. So it wasn't necessarily, something that's really specific, but it was beautiful. At the end of the night, I was exhausted because it was kind of like 2 networking events back to back, but it was lovely to see everybody come together, have a good time, and people say, wow, I'm meeting people on a different level.
Well, I've already got my 4 one-on-one scheduled from next week from last night. So it was a major success.
That's because you're intentional, right?
And, and that goes back to what we said earlier about distractions is we can avoid distractions by having a purpose.
Yeah.
Being focused.
Yeah.
And because, again, they're just flying at you at 90 miles an hour all day long.
Yeah. And that's right. Along the lines of the theme, people could have been really distracted just by the overwhelmingness of so many people yesterday at the Blue Mesa component. And then we went over to TK's Comedy Club, the speakeasy, right? So it was that was so super cool, and go to the comedy club or whatever. But when I'm leaving and there's still people having one-on-ones there. Right? So they were intentional and making the most of that. And I thought that was just a really beautiful.
Wow. Well, I'm sorry I missed it, but I had to fly over to Farmers Branch to their Thursday night networking event where I happened to meet a couple of new people there too. But I'm sorry I missed TK's with you.
Hey, we divide and conquer. That's what it's all about. This is all about. So we're going to have an outstanding guest, going to help us kind of zero in and dive down on distractions. So that's coming up next.
Are you having trouble with your VoIP phone system? SmartOffice USA to the rescue. We're a local company here in DFW with real people, certified technicians, and we even come to your office to help you. SmartOffice USA, representing the #1 VoIP phone system on the planet. And we are right here in DFW, ready to help you. Call us 214-272-0921 or go to www.smartofficeusa.com.
All right. I've been waiting for this day. Do you know what I've been waiting for, Rob?
Tell me.
From Marc Neace from SyncLab Media. Oh my gosh.
Wow.
This is so exciting because Marc goes through it. Like, he's behind the scenes, he's in front of the scenes, he's out in the scene, he is the scene.
Well, it is an honor to have Marc here because he is the ultimate true professional when it comes to videography. I had the privilege of being at a studio a couple of months ago, and a big wow factor there. He and his partner are just the ultimate. So it's an honor to have him here today.
Well, thank you very much. You got a nice setup here. It's nice.
Well, thank you.
You have people that know what they're doing. So
well, thank you.
Yeah.
It's
very proud of the team.
Yeah,
That's right. It's taken some work, but an amazing team in place now.
Yeah.
So, Marc, one of the things I think that anybody who really knows you knows that you've got a lot of compartments to your brain, right? You're a left brain and a right brain.
Yes.
And a nice guy. Like, that's hard.
Well, sometimes, yeah. Most
we'll
of the
just
time.
go with that, right? We're just going to go with that.
Yes.
So when you have all of these components going on, right? You're working on the technical, you're working on the creative, you're managing clients, you're managing a team, you're going out to golf carts or golf courses and riding the cart all day. How do you stay in the lane and remove the distractions so you can get done the task that's before you?
It is a struggle. I mean, I struggle with it. I think a lot of people struggle with it. I mean, on a day-to-day basis, I mean, there's things that I am working on to try to get better at it. So we can certainly talk about that. But it is hard. I mean, especially, small business owners. I mean, we're wearing a lot of hats, and even when you grow, you still wear a lot of hats. Even, when you're delegating and have people to do things for you and a team in place, it's still hard sometimes. And then you add a second or a third business into that mix too, and it gets even more difficult. So it's something, and I'm very involved in a couple of other organizations and do a lot of community stuff as well. So it is always hard. Yeah. And really, it's gotten better for me the more structured that I've made my schedule. And limited certain times on my schedule that I'll do certain things, or like compartmentalizing like that has really helped a lot. And then there's a few other things that I'm working on.
A constant journey of learning.
Right.
That's right.
Yeah.
When you said that, like you're a little embarrassed about what you're working on.
I mean, it's tough. I mean, it's like every day, a few times a day, every day. It's it's like, wow, okay, I just wasted 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So
that's right. And that wasn't with a client. So
no, it's just things that, you like start going down a rabbit hole and you just keep going down the rabbit hole a little too long. Right. And that's the definition of distraction for me, I guess.
Yes.
So,
and we're talking about networking, right? So the show is Network Today.
Yeah.
And tell me, when you're in networking mode, how do you remove the distractions of the business or the other things that might be like working in your mind so that you can get whatever is before you done? How do you do that? How do you
like in
that?
A networking situation?
Yeah.
Well, one of the things that I started doing several years ago is depending upon the event that I'm going to, I kind of have a plan in my head already of the type of person that I may be looking to meet. Or if I am expecting that I might see someone that I haven't seen in a while or that I see on a frequent basis, then I'll try to prepare ahead of time and think if there's a particular conversation that I can have with them, or maybe since I've seen them the last time, I might be working with a client, or I might have talked to someone else that might be, a good connection for them or whatever. So I try to focus before I get to an event of possible interactions that I might have, and or if it's a group that I may not know anybody in, I kind of have a target in mind of the type of person that I really want to have a conversation with. And so if I can walk away with, one or two good conversations and business cards from people like that, then the event's a success, even though I may have talked to 15 or 20 people, right?
Right.
So it's about trying to identify and focus in and have a deep conversation, 2 deep conversations instead of 15 or 20 that, it's nice to see people. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a social, part of it's being social and, in front of people as well. But I think if you focus and are kind of strategic about it, it kind of eliminates some of those other distractions too.
What would you, give some advice to our audience on what are some of the distractions that you experience when you go to a networking event that you would kind of give, especially newbies that we talk about, where they're just getting into networking, so they don't, go down that rabbit hole like you were talking about? What are some distractions at an event?
Well, I mean, people always, want to be in the immediate vicinity of people that they really like and that they spend a lot of time with and that they know really well.
Right.
And again, it's not that I don't want to see and talk to people that I know or that I see all the time. Right. But at the same time, you can get caught in a situation where you spend half the time at an event just kind of hanging out with people and, and catching up since, you haven't seen them in a week or a month, right?
Right, yeah.
Right. When there might be other opportunity in the room that could make it more of a actual business benefit.
I totally
for
agree
you,
with
right?
you. Totally agree with you.
And again, it depends on the event and it depends on the group. And sometimes, you know what, sometimes I'll go to a happy hour just to go and have fun and to see everybody I know and to talk to them. And if that's my objective, then that's a successful event because I've achieved it by the time I left, right?
Exactly.
You know, so, yeah.
But there's something that we hear that's kind of an ongoing theme or a thread amongst the really good people in the networking world, and that's to prepare. That's that whole preparation to avoid distractions.
Well,
right?
why are you even going to an event to begin with?
Yeah.
You know, or are there events out there that you should be going to that you just aren't?
Yeah.
You know, so
there are people who are professional networkers. And so they end up not working.
Right.
Because all they're doing is networking and not really preparing for the purpose of garnering leads or, you know, having new conversations.
Sure. And if you don't, depending on the type of group it is as well, you know, I think people sometimes don't think about the mix of the types of groups. So I have one weekly group that I help run, you know, that I'm committed to go to every single week. And then I have 2 or 3 mid-market and a couple of other monthly, you know, things that I go to that I'm committed to and I go to. And then I sprinkle in the other, like there's a couple of monthly happy hours. And then if I want to go to 1 or 2 other things that I haven't been to, a group that I haven't been to before, then, you know, I have an opportunity to do that. But if you attend more than one weekly group, you can fall into that trap because, I mean, the whole idea with a weekly group is to build those relationships and do follow-ups and do one-on-ones and, you know, give active referrals and all those other things that you're supposed to do as a good member of a group. And if you have more than 1 or 2 of those, it can really get in the way. You know?
Absolutely. But having that plan,
Well, I like what Marc just said there is that the distraction is having too many groups.
Yeah.
You know, you've got to have that balance there and so that you can work it the proper way. So you can have time to give.
And knowing what the purpose of the specific groups are that you're going to and what you want to achieve out of it so you can eliminate the distractions. Because we know people who are, you know, next time you meet them, they're like, oh yeah, well, like, and you could identify early on that they were the professional networker,
right.
And they were allowing those distractions to fool them and believe that they were making money through that. And the truth is that you're just not, right? That's a different thing, right? You're either making friends, or you're figuring out how to make money. Right? Not always the same thing,
right?
So as we wrap this up, because you've got so many things that you do, and I happen to know a little bit about you, I want you to tell us a little known thing about yourself that other people might go, oh my goodness, did not know that about Marc.
Well, I've worked as a professional caddy. A lot of people don't know that. So I've actually caddied on most of all of the tours. Except what's now the Champions Tour. I haven't caddied one of those events, but all the other tours and the mini tours and a couple of U.S. Women's Opens and some events like that. So that's pretty cool.
That is way cool.
Oh my gosh. Wow. You want to connect with Marc. And Marc, I want you to spell your last name because people might get it wrong if they're looking for you on LinkedIn.
It's Peace, but with an N. Neace.
See, that good? Good. So Marc Neace, SyncLab
it's
Media.
It's at Neace on LinkedIn. It's just my last name.
Oh, yeah. That I didn't know because I've just known you for so long. It just comes up. There was Marc.
Yeah, but my name, or if you put in at Neace. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Awesome. Yep. And it's SyncLab Media. So it's SYNC Lab Media. Great person to know. You want to get to know him.
Thank you.
And
you're very gracious. Both of you are. Appreciate the kind words.
And he's an Eagle Scout. Right?
I'm not an Eagle Scout. My son is an Eagle Scout. Yes.
Vicariously, you would be an Eagle Scout through your son.
I'm an Eagle Scout dad, which is actually even better. So, yeah.
There you go. Yeah. Marc, you're awesome. Thank you. Can't wait to have you back.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
All right.
Yeah, thanks.
So Marc is a man of many talents. I have such a great appreciation for all the levels of creativity and technology that go through his brain. I mean, it's just amazing.
Well, I mean, again, like I said earlier, is that when I went to a studio and got to see Scott and Marc in action, I mean, they are the ultimate professionals. And anytime I have an opportunity with someone that has a need of this high-end videography and production, it's back to SyncLab Media.
Yeah.
Great guys.
Yes, yes. So he was a perfect person to talk about distractions because he does have so many things.
Oh my gosh.
When you're in that creative space, as you well know, it's just so easy to like go down the hole that you want to go down. Like, I like the feel good stuff. I just remember when I was in radio, I just want to write copy. I don't actually like go talk to somebody today. So, but you have to do the things you don't want to do.
And I like what he said too, is how you know that he's on this journey that he has to learn.
Yeah.
And he is doing it daily. He's recognized that fact that there are a lot of distractions. It is hard to do it, and so he's on this journey to learn how to become better and how to avoid those. So yeah, it was great to hear that.
Yeah, and truly, we talk about this a lot, but when you can eliminate and we hate to focus on the negative, but if you can figure out what those things are that are keeping you from being successful, then it frees up your time and energy to do the things that are successful, that are productive. And so figuring out what those distractions are in your life, what would be, you don't have to divulge anything you don't want to divulge, but what would be a distraction in your life that you'd say, hey, I really have to move this out of the way during my money-making time?
Well, to be honest with you, when I'm at my desk doing admin on that, is that phone? I don't put my phone in do not disturb mode, and so I'll answer it. Or I look too much on my emails, and I'm answering emails back like right at real time versus sort of like compartmentalizing that to that where I can say next hour or 2 hours from now, but I want to do it real time, and I think that's a time waster. So that's a major distraction for me.
Me too. And I love the instant, so I don't know about you, but I set up my laptop so that I get all the pings. So as soon as the message comes in, it shows it at the top. Then I get a ping on my cell phone. Then I get, I love it, but I hate it.
Yeah.
And so I really have a great admiration for those people that a week later, they're answering my email because I know that it had to have been way down. And what they did is they had the discipline to, okay, I've got to remove the distractions. That wasn't a priority for me at that moment. And I'm going to go back and now go through the discipline of getting back with people. So that's one of the things I think for me that the electronic media stuff can really be just such a huge distraction. And I just want to close with this because we're talking about networking events. So the thing that he said that we've heard so many other people say that it's a frequency for me, I'm going to be more prepared. The more we have these discussions, I too am going to be more prepared when I go into these networking events. Pad of paper, or at least on my cell phone, so that I can walk in with 3 main components that I'm trying to get out of that networking group.
And again, I want to point out too, is that they can go to Purple Cow Branding website. We have under free resources, we have that scorecard that I've been using.
Yeah, that's a great one.
I've been using that to help me again, because I got tons of cards on my desk. Where's my follow-up?
Yeah.
And where's my purpose, which Marc talked about.
Yeah.
And the scorecard is kind of that, gives me that preparedness for when I go to the event. And then when I come back that evening or the next day, dump my cards, and I use my scorecard so I can practice my follow-up.
Yeah, because he still likes the card. But,
Still like the
we
cards.
have that. That's a whole nother discussion about card versus no card. But so distractions, great subject. We all deal with it. And I can't wait to talk to Marc again. Let's face it, employees waste time on the company dime. Why? Life's complicated. We help keep the junk of life out of the workplace and in the hands of the experts. MPowered Advantage, empowering employees, giving businesses the advantage. Letter M as in magnificent, poweredadvantage.com. Welcome back to Network Today, Cheryl and Rob. It's so great that we get to do this and people get to just sit in on our chat.
I love it because, again, to me, it is something that is helping me. Like I shared with you earlier in the year, was my goal this year was to become a better networker.
Yeah.
And the show here is just helping by with our guests, bringing our guests in, learning so much, having to prepare for this, getting ideas from you. It's all coming together. I love it.
It is. And it's making me more conscientious, a networker, if that was grammatically correct. So I want to hit on something on distractions before we wrap up here real quick. So we're not going to take too deep a dive on this. And I know our amazing production team are going to make this list available online. But Rob, when you're doing a one-on-one, so we talked about networking events, how you can help remove distractions and kind of get into the real meat of networking. But when you're doing a one-on-one, what are some of the distractions that you see or potential downfalls, pitfalls, and things that you need to remove, get out of the way?
Great question. And what I did about that was what I found myself was the one-on-ones were taking too long. I could have an hour and a half, 2 hours, 2 hours plus. And then all you talked about was where you went on vacation, what's your favorite movie. And you really didn't after that long a time. So what I did was I put together a little pamphlet to keep me on track. So I've got this series of questions I ask, so I can ask a few personal questions and then get down to drill down a little bit to how I can help them. And it's really worked out well. So once that's over, then it's over.
Right.
So I try to keep those below an hour. And then to me, I've probably been doing it about 3 or 4 months now, and it really has helped me out a great deal.
That's a great point, because there are really great tools. We mention these a lot, but you can't mention them too much because people forget. We forget. Go to the networktodaydfw.com and you're going to see resources there. And one of those are networking tools, networking pamphlets, things that will help keep you on track, right?
Absolutely.
Especially if you're new to this. I mean, it really helps you develop a system. So,
Yeah, I mean that is a game. Once you start talking to people, if we don't have those guidelines,
right?
We're salespeople. We got we love to talk,
right?
But we got to bring it back down to focusing on why we're here, what our purpose is.
Now, what about the electronic distractions that can get in your life? What do you do about those while you're having a one-on-one?
Well, first of all, I hope I've turned my cell phone off. I hope I put my phone in Do Not Disturb. Turn my computer off. So yeah, those are the first 3 things I try to do.
It is kind of I'm going to say this. Hopefully I'm not offending anybody, but it is so annoying to me when I see somebody and I found myself inadvertently doing this, but they leave their cell phone up and open during the meeting. Now, that's cool if you say, hey, I got to take a call, right? I got my baby who's in school and I'm waiting to hear from the teacher. I mean, things like that, right? You got a really important thing that has to happen, taking care of clients. But let somebody know that in advance. But if I see somebody just sitting there and they just keep swiping it, or this is another thing, little Apple Watches or Fitbits or whatever that just keep buzzing during the, I'm like, I find myself distracted because I keep like looking at the wrist, like what kind of, what's going on down there? So yeah, those are some of the things that can really be annoying. I try to put everything away except for my iPad where I take my notes. But
we need to put that on the no list. With those, Apple, those are a couple of good points that you just said there.
Especially because it's like, zzz, zzz. You see, like, good grief, buddy. You're really popular. You're on the FBI watch list. I don't know. Watch list, yes. And then how about you? So I know we need to wrap this up. I know we just got a minute, but what about people distractions? So you meet people in your office.
Right.
I meet people at Lacima Club where I like to office. And so you have employees and you have things that could come in and interrupt your meetings. I have people walking by saying, hey, how do you manage that?
That's a tough question because I got to work on it every day because I'm easily distracted. And I like to help people. So I want to, be helping them out. And so really what I try to do is through my time blocking on my calendar is know I've got so much time to deal with it. And sometimes I always plan so I have a little bit more time on it, but my calendar keeps me on track.
Okay. For me, I don't have a good way of doing this either, other than ignoring people. Like I hate that. But avoid eye contact. Act like you didn't see them, then it's not so bad. So if you feel like I was just trying to avoid you or offend you, it's really because I didn't want to get off track because I was trying to have a meeting. Because it's in my heart to say, oh, come on over, join us. Like let's all have this big kumbaya meeting. But I'm like, no. We have to have a show about Network Today, about making money from this. So I can't be an offender. So those are just a couple of things that I think will help. But again, you're going to find these lists on networktodaydfw.com. Any closing thoughts?
Yeah, I think what I'm trying, and this is, for me, and share with the audience, is just the fact is, to help me get better at avoiding, working with distractions is developing a game plan. So that again, when we go into that networking meeting, I've got a purpose that I want to accomplish that night. And so I think by that's going to keep me more focused. I can concentrate better, but having a game plan.
That's good. Because that's a perfect segue into our next episode on focus. Focus, right? Really zeroing in on that. So this has been good. Distractions are going to happen. We live in a life of more distractions than ever before. Somebody told me this the other day. I'm sorry, I'm not giving you props for this. There is no multitasking. Did you know that?
I heard about that.
So
I might disagree with that.
So you can't do multiple things at once. It's really you're doing one thing and then a little of one thing and then a little of one thing. You really aren't balancing or, 3 or 4 things at once. So I was like a little disappointed in myself that but anyway, with that, it did make me think about being more intentional about compartmentalizing things instead of multitasking, just making a note to follow up on that instead of following up on that while I'm in the moment.
Right.
So that was just one of the ways I think that I'm going to start eliminating some of my distractions. So I can listen more intently to what it is that you have to say because you're important.
Thank you.
Right? Removing those distractions says you're important. All right. So Network Today is our show, Cheryl and
Rob.
Right? So hopefully we're taking you from meeting people to making money faster, right? Shortening that long relationship game as you continue to build it. And resources, I want to tell you if you're learning to network, if this is new for you, and Rob's mentioned a couple of these things, that you're going to find events, networking events in the DFW North Texas area on my personal website, which you'll find at networktodaydfw.com, and MPowered Advantage. That's the letter M. MPoweredAdvantage.com is my company website where I actually have that event calendar. And so that's a super cool resource that might help you get started if you need a little jump start.
Awesome resource. I look at it, every Monday morning when I get in the office.
You do. You do. Well, thank you. Well, this has been fun. Hey, my friend.
All right. Happy networking.
Happy networking to no distractions. See you next time.
This has been a Purple Cow production.